Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Stargirl Season 1, Episode 10. Episode 10 already. This is called Brainwave Jr., so full spoilers for the episode, as always. I wasn't expecting the double digits already. Time flies.
Snuck up on us.
It has. We got 3 left. So this obviously carried on 2 big cliffhangers, one which was that Brainwave was up from his coma, and the other one being that Barb walked in on the staff and the general shadiness of what's going on between Pat and Courtney. So I had a lot to answer to those two. We sort of really liked last week's episode, but it was definitely a quieter setup episode. This one, I think we'll both agree was, good or bad, was definitely a lot more payoff and big things happening.
Oh, definitely. Honestly, this might be my favorite episode of the show yet.
I can see that. I think this show's done nothing but go from strength to strength after the first maybe 4 episodes. It's been kind of on a nice uphill, steady trend since then.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the only bit I can really point at and go, well, I had some nitpicks was, just the recruiting of the team. Though there was 2 episodes.
Yeah.
The Yolanda one was fine. It was the 2 after that. But beyond those 2 out of 10 so far, it's been really, firing on all cylinders.
And it's a lot easier to forgive them in hindsight now, that because the season as a whole definitely feels like, and maybe it'll flub the landing, but even if it does flub the landing, I don't think at this point you can accuse it of not having a clear direction and pacing for what it wants for the whole season. So and even in this episode especially, feels like no, this was clearly always the plan, was to have the death that happens in this episode, this story arc that happens here, and how it affects the other characters was always going to be part of the season's story. I feel like the whole thing was built around it. And one of the things that I've been complimenting throughout the season is the way it handles certain things and the pacing of certain things, which I suspect other shows, especially network shows, which I'll be really interested to see whether this is on CW next season, would flounder. And that is something like Barb finding out, like her reaction that this secret relationship has been going on, and even just the ridiculousness of it being the superhero thing. Her reaction of kicking Pat out the house felt completely accurate and correct to me. It felt like, yes, this naturally feels like a response that she would have. And maybe, yeah, she'll cool down over the episode, the next few episodes. She'll learn more of, how real it actually is and how true some of it is and so on. But her initial instinct to say, Pat, get out the house, actually feels
reasonable.
It feels plausible, yeah. It feels, and I don't think you blame her for it. It feels like a natural reaction.
Yeah. And I actually think it's really effective to have this episode opens with the flashback of Pat and Barb meeting for the first time. So to go from that, the start of their relationship essentially, to then this moment here where it feels like, okay, it's I'm sure it's not the end, but it feels like it could have been the end.
Oh yeah, I don't suspect
it's
the end.
played in a realistic way, like where Pat, when as he's leaving with Mike, he's like, yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go.
Yeah, and Mike, of course, is concerned. Because at first, I was actually questioning when she said, get out, I was like, does Mike go with them because Mike's his kid? Or does Mike stay here because it's more like a family unit now?
I appreciate that he started like, no, you stay here. This is still your home. You stay. I'll come back in the morning, and see how things are. But don't worry about it. Go, you've got your bed up there.
Yeah, but no, out of solidarity for his father, he's like, no, I'm going with you. I'm going to the garage with you. The other thing about the flashback, though, that really sort of is nice, is that later on, when they kind of start working together again, Pat and Barb, where it feels like they're kind of starting to almost start not the real, because as he says, the relationship for the most part has been real and authentic. It's not like his feelings or any of the relationship has been a lie, but this new honest side of the relationship, where all of this is on the table, also starts in the same diner later on when they're sitting listening to the recording. So it has that nice mirror. So sometimes TV shows, especially DC TV shows, can have extraneous flashbacks which offer nothing and are just there to fill out time. This worked on 2 levels for this episode. So it made you sort of oh, this is kind of a sweet relationship. And it also made me realize that I've never actually had a banana split. I've heard them mentioned 100 million times. I've never had a banana split.
I don't like bananas. It's one of the only fruit I cannot stand. Just the smell of it makes me feel physically sick.
I love bananas, but I am not a big fan of fruit in dessert, typically. So I think I wouldn't be that into it, but because I like ice cream and I like bananas, but put them together, I'm not sure I'm into it.
That's so strange.
I just sometimes don't mix that well. I don't know, just So I also tried the whole sliced bananas and cereal ones. Hated it. Soggy bananas. Don't want it.
It's best to do it with if you're gonna do it with frozen, like freeze them first and then slice them.
Maybe that was my
then,
mistake.
Then they've still got some heft to them.
Yeah, I've given up milk now anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant at this point. But yeah,
you could get like not milk.
Yeah, I could get substitutes if I still wanted cereal, but I mean, I don't know if I need cereal in my life. I could probably just do without it. But that's neither here nor there. What we're getting to here is Barb's reaction, her subsequent decision to just leave town. It's like, I don't want Courtney near any of this. If there is any truth to these villains being around, we're just going to skedaddle. I want no part of it. But she does have this moment of curiosity. Now, if I have any frustrations with this episode, there's a couple of things that I just wish certain characters would have said in the heat of the moment. One is that once she tells Courtney to get out the basement so she can talk to Pat on his own, and she reiterates something that was said before, which is like, hey, you told Courtney that Starman was her father, and I was like, Pat, say you didn't, because you've been saying to Courtney all season, don't jump to that conclusion. That's probably not true. You've been saying that that's not likely. Defend yourself a little bit, man. Come on.
yeah. He really just does nothing.
Yeah. And then the other one is that her reaction to the whole father thing, the whole Starman being the father thing, is that because she sees a photo of him, and I thought she was immediately just going to say, "No, that's not your father. I know what your father looks like. That's not him." But she doesn't do that. And then later on, she's kind of looking at the photo or looking at one of the sort of the smeared photos, and kind of like as if she's like doubting and not really sure.
Yeah, I think this is less a problem with Barb as a character and not doing the right thing here, and more an issue of they've given the photos have just been too clear. Like to us, this is clearly Joel McHale, right? We can just see it. It's like there's no doubt about it because they wanted to show off that they got him still almost.
Exactly.
I'm like, no. If you want this to play, this photo that you're using as the evidence needs to be less clear.
Yeah. It's a minor thing overall. You just sort of buy what they're doing and just go with it. But as it is, it's kind of
but
hard
it's
to
more of
swallow.
a prop issue rather than a character writing issue, I think.
Yeah. But it comes off as a character issue for the first sort of moment because then you sort of think about it, nah, it's really just because the photo's too clear. But she sends an email to presumably who she thinks the real father is the gist I got from that email. But
Sam something or other. She's
packing up her office and she looks at the photo of Mike and Pat, and it's just enough to make her sort of stop and go, what if there's some truth to some of this. And then obviously Pat comes to see her because Courtney goes and tells him that she's at work, and he's like, no, that's the most dangerous place to be. If Jordan's icicle, this is a terrible idea. And he goes to see her, and again we had the evil parents come in, and I love because we were joking about them speaking evil things in Norwegian last episode, and I love that was then used as a tool this episode.
I was almost frustrated in this sequence. Like I was on the verge of being annoyed in that they're speaking in Norwegian and it's not giving us subtitles. I'm like, why? You've already established that doing subtitles for the Norwegian is fine. We've seen it multiple times in the season. Why are you just not doing it here? Is it just so we're on the same page as Barb and Pat? But it feels frustrating as a viewer until it's revealed that she was recording it, and I'm like, okay, never mind. We're gonna hear it anyway.
Yeah, it's just fine. We're just saving it until they find out what they said, and hearing it with them. I was happy with this because it was kind of like they took something that we picked up on ourselves, and not just us, I just mean the audience in general, last week, and used it as a tool. And having Barbara be the one who has the idea and records it to say, hey, let's see if they said anything shady. And it was kind of hitting. Like, clearly Jordan's picked her as the future wife, and the parents are happy with her. Yes, we're happy with this blonde Norwegian-looking woman to be our son's new wife.
She's a bit tanned, but we can worry about that later.
You can hide her from the sun for a while.
Yeah.
Tans could go away.
Throw her in Norway for a couple of years and you probably sell.
Just put her in Norway. So then of course they go and listen. They use and obviously I like that it's a stilted translation because they've used like a Google style translate to translate the recording. So it's not like a perfect translation, but you get the gist of it.
But it's more. I appreciate that because it's not just it's more realistic. It's not just this perfect thing.
Yeah. So No, and there's nothing too specific. Obviously, it implies that they're talking about her in the way that we were just saying, and it obviously mentions that the machine's about to be turned on. But obviously, Pat and Barb are like, "What machine? What's he working on?" They don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
So, but it opens that door, that questioning for Pat and Barb to maybe look into it.
The only part of this plot that I kind of felt a little bit, a little bit let me down a little bit was the ending where there's a response to the email. Which bothered me a little bit because the computer's just on. No one's in the office. It's just on there, ready for for someone to walk in and see it. Like that seems extremely unprofessional not to lock your work computer when you leave it. Or for just not to time out.
I don't have a timeout on my computer, but
no, that's fair on your personal computer.
Yeah.
I feel like most work computers have them baked in.
Most do, but this is a small town's like council as opposed to like a company that cares about security in the same way.
It just bothered me that in an office space just leave an unattended computer.
I'm not sticking up for it much, just like, but I can let it slide.
It's one of those contrivances, like the oven glove. Last episode. It's another one of those where I'm like, it's just there because we need it to.
Yeah. I'm not going to lose sleep over the computer still been on, though.
It's just I might a little bit, yeah. I'll lose 5 minutes.
Well, you can lose sleep. I'll be okay. So, of course, the big thing here, though, is that Brainwave has no memory of the last 10 years. He doesn't remember anything since just before his wife died, which I thought this was kind of effective in making me sympathetic towards Brainwave a little bit when Henry had to tell him that his wife was dead.
That was because he knows that he's lost his memory for 10 years, but he hasn't registered yet. So it's like, oh, we moved here after Mum died. And he's like, wait, what?
Do you know what was effective?
He's just like, oh, shit.
It was effective because the goal of the episode past a certain point is to try and essentially save Brainwave himself from being turned into modern Brainwave. The idea that he was a better version of himself and can grow from there. So the idea that we're trying to save this better version who believed people could be good because his wife kind of taught him that. It actually this scene of like him finding out his wife was dead and a couple of other little things here or there with Henry. Actually, like I think it was the bonding over the fact that he had his powers. When he realized that his son had his powers, and he was like, "Oh, I assumed that I was going to start like prodding you and try to train you."
Yeah, he was like, oh, "Have I been teaching you?" And he's like excited by it. It's like, "Oh, what? How far did we get in the training?" And he's like, "No, it kind of happened while you're in a coma." He's like, "Well, we got so much to do."
Fair play to the actor. I think the actor really helped sell this and make me like him because I think this was between the 2 points here. I think it was enough to make me sympathetic. Where I was like, I kind of want them to succeed. I want them to save Brainwave and not have him turn into, episode 1 and 2 Brainwave.
Yeah.
And I think that's commendable that it pulled that off. And of course, Jordan shows up and Henry hides, and you can tell that Brainwave senses that he's there and chooses not to rat out his son.
Yeah, it's got that sound effect, just that high pitch kind of noise whenever they use their powers.
Yeah. So, and that makes him go to Courtney because Courtney's the one person he knows might be able to help him. That like the villains have got.
Yeah, and obviously at this point Henry thinks that Icicle, Jordan killed his mother because there's just enough clues that she drowned, and then he mentioned she was ice cold.
Yeah, which admittedly is something you could say for almost any corpse after it's been lying there for a little bit. So
especially presumably in cold water.
Yeah, and it fit in the context of any murder, but it does make us go, icicle. Like, no,
it's just suspicious enough where you go, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where later on, like when Henry says it out loud, icicle, killed Mum. As soon as he said it, I went, nah, it was him. He did it himself. That's going to be the dark twist here. But it wasn't something I predicted before that point. It was just as soon as he felt the need to say it out loud, I'm like, oh no, he's about to correct him.
I think that's what I like about it. It gives you just enough, like you say, ice cold and drowned. It's in any other scenario, it's not enough to leap to this specific person killed her. It's just, like I say, plausible enough. But on this show, it's just prods you in that direction. So it feels like it's not shoving it in your face and shouting it at you, going, "This is the obvious twist." It's like, but it just also wants you to think about it.
But it also means you don't think Henry's an idiot for thinking it because you agree with them. You immediately have the same thought. So when you have that realization right before like Brainwave says that he killed him himself, Whether or not Henry has that moment himself in that moment, it's kind of this nice thing where the shock of it actually hits almost a little bit harder because you sort of go, oh, he did it himself before he says it.
Yeah, it's really effective.
Yeah, it's actually quite good. So, oh, by the way, just the start of the flashback, did you notice what was playing in the movie theater?
I did. Strange Adventures. Which,
Yeah.
If you there was some of the other posters on the side as well, and there was one for Prez, which had and it was like an actual person, like a live action adaptation of Prez.
I just think it's interesting. It reminded me of a lot of current Bendis Superman stuff at the start of the comics. And the title page will have a lot of references to what else is happening in the comics. I like the idea of John's like sneaking in references to current DC comic books.
It's interesting because obviously he'd have known that book was coming quite a while in advance.
If anything, he probably expected it to be halfway through its run by now. Obviously, the pandemic's obviously delayed a lot of the issues.
Down a little, yeah.
But that made me chuckle. I was like, oh, that's a nice little wink to the current comics. And not even like a Stargirl comic, just something that's going on right now.
But also, it's conveniently a timeless reference, so this it will never feel dated.
Oh sure, yeah. There's nothing in the title that feels like it works as a movie title if you don't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and obviously the other thing in this scene is that the staff wanted Courtney to go after Icicle, and Courtney's like, no, Mum's really pissed. We kind of have to play it slow right now. And the staff actually does goes a bit rogue and tries to take Icicle on himself, but unfortunately for the staff, the team of Icicle and Brainwave is just not enough. So Henry also sees that they've got the staff as well when they're leaving. And so when he goes to see her, which by the way, she immediately thinks they're cousins, because one of the things that was revealed in the videotapes, because Henry goes back and watches one about the death of the mother to sort of try and put two and two together. About who killed her, and the tape does very also heavily imply that it was Icicle. The idea that
it does, yeah,
because he talks about how he was just a generic supervillain robbing banks, but then he read the mind of this woman, and her thoughts were pure and innocent, and actually convinced him the world could be good and nice, and that's why he fell for her. But the big reveal here is that his wife is the sister of Starman, so. Courtney, upon learning this, goes, wait, you're my cousin? We're family, and hugs. And I loved Henry's reaction to being hugged. He's just like, yeah, okay, all right.
yeah. Also, the fact that an email comes through at the end in response from who we assume is Courtney's actual father, kind of tells us that it's probably not Stam, unless John McHale has been alive the whole time.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been saying since the start that the most likely scenario is that it's not Starman. The father, that is.
Yes.
So, yeah. So they team up, and she takes them to the other team members. So now we need help. We have to go and storm the castle, as it were. And the others are not happy about this. They don't want to work with Henry. They don't trust him. And Henry's trying his best to not be a dick and convince them to go along with the plan. And they're not very happy about it, but ultimately they do. Beth kind of. I love the moment where the little telekinesis fight where Henry knocks the food into Rick. I love that Beth stands up and says, "Hey everyone, just keep ignoring us like you usually do."
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, there's something really fun about that. That's twice Beth's made me laugh though. Beth's comedy's growing on me. I know you're still in the.
Not growing on me. I'll say after this episode, I like her not the least anymore on the team.
Oh, Rick?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We'll get there.
All right, okay. So they set up, obviously, Courtney's ever staff, but that doesn't stop her. They set up, except Henry, who's just in his Letterman jacket, and they're walking in the tunnels, right? So that's the idea. They found these tunnels. Beth's been down here. They're sauntering on through. They split up into two teams. And we get a really good fight sequence, actually. Yolanda, Courtney, and Henry end up in the sort of the main Dragon King lair. Which, by the way, I love that they're sneaking in, they're doing this slowly, and then you just hear Cindy go, "Dad, it's that bitch! Let me kill her! Let me kill the bitch right now, Dad! Come on, let me kill her!" That really cracked me up.
It's great, and Courtney grabs like a spear, like a retractable spear, which really fits nicely with how she's been using the staff.
Yeah, it was really effective in showing that even without the superpowered mind of its own staff, all the training she's done with the staff has actually turned her into a pretty good fighter with a similar weapon type. Yeah. It was a really neat thing because she was actually holding her own against all the drone, the dragon drones. We get a look at obviously the Dragon King. Yolanda's got a couple of. Yolanda was slicing people at Wolverine in this scene. There was actually blood splattering around.
This was fun.
Yeah, I was into this.
And she was like running across walls and shit. I was like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and I love the beat where she's like, Courtney's almost being killed by the Dragon King, and she runs up to the staff, which is in this like cage thing, and she sort of swipes it open and throws her the staff. It was all typical stuff, but it was all done really well. And if one thing I hope sticks around when they move to CW is the over the top wire work. They're really making it work for me. I'm into it.
Yeah, the wire work is way more fun than just the effects of just knocking people back 6 foot.
Yeah, I'm into it. So. Unfortunately, the sad part here is that Brainwave is taken out the machine by Henry, and they've turned him into like President Brainwave. He's went full evil completely, and the characters have to run. We'll get back to that in a minute. Meanwhile, let's just jump over to Rick and Beth, who are looking around, and then they hear Grundy, and Rick realizes who this is. He's like, "That's Solomon Grundy. That's who murdered my parents." I will say I'm really glad that he couldn't rip the door off with the super strength, because the door was designed to hold in Solomon Grundy. He shouldn't be able to do that even with super strength.
Yeah, that is nice.
I mean, okay, if you tell me Superman could do it, I'll give it to you. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Honestly, this just is not endearing me to Rick, because he was already a frustrating character and anger issues, whatever. Here, I'm like, come on, stay on mission, dude.
I was thinking about this during this part of the episode. I was thinking like, Rick has to have his moment where he learns to stop being like this, and I feel like he's essentially going to have to, like, something he does is going to have to get someone killed for him to sort of like have this moment where he's like, shit, I need to kind of sober up here with my rage. So, and I'm starting to trust the show enough that I suspect they're going to do something with it. They're going to like have him go through an arc that takes this away, this anger.
I hope so, and the sooner the better, because he's just not an enjoyable character to watch right now.
He's a little bit one note. He kind of repeats himself a lot, or it feels like he's repeating himself a lot anyway.
Yeah.
With his anger, but they all run to each other. They're running from Brainwave, who is, very, very dangerous, and they get to this kind of,
grill.
Yeah, it's like, metal bars in the sewer. Oh, pardon me.
Which are the toughest metal bars I've ever seen.
Well, no, that's the thing. They're not that tough because Rick bends them easily, and then it's actually Brainwave who's closing them shut again. So all of the attempts afterwards to open them they're not the strength of the bars; it's the strength of Brainwave's psychic powers.
I agree. I'm a little confused. Yolanda's like trying to cut through them. It's just nothing's happening. Like, I get that they won't bend.
Sure.
Because he's holding them in place, but I feel like they should be able to be cut through.
Oh, can she cut through solid iron?
She cut through a toaster, no problem.
A toaster's not made of iron, though.
I mean, I don't know what metal toasters are made out of, but
the metal in a toaster's pretty thin. The metal in a toaster is nowhere near as strong as the metal that would be used in something like this.
Fine, but the way she's slashing through all sorts of shit, the way she can, the way those claws just go into solid brick to climb.
I mean, okay, the brick's a better argument, but the toaster's not an argument for this.
The toaster was decimated with very little force. So, I'm just, scale that up a bit. Let's say,
well, actually, no, hold on. Psychic shield. Like, we see, like, everything that gets thrown in Brainwave is like a shield he's got in front of it. So you just get a shield around the bars as he's closing them shut.
I guess.
Easy peasy. That's really what was going through your mind during this, what I think is a pretty good scene.
No, it is, and because they're still able to get through as people, like, right?
Yes.
So the shield just, it's gone for 5 seconds. Everyone gets through. Shield's back. I mean, I don't know. This frustrates me.
What do you mean? The shielding doesn't happen until after everyone who's going to go through goes through.
No, they're attacking it from both sides first, I'm sure. Because they try and bend it open and they don't all get through straight away.
No, because the side they're okay. They're struggling from both sides, but they're struggling from the first side, if you will, is only Jill's psychic struggle with Henry. Henry's the one who's able to like pry it open again and put Courtney through, because he sort of like telekinetically puts, just sort of throws her through. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're overthinking this.
Maybe it just, as I was watching it, felt a little contrived.
I
I
was
like
too
the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I was too busy enjoying the actual drama of the scene. Thank you very much. Where Henry's basically going full hero at this point. I really liked his final words before his dad killed him, because that's what I like as well. Is his dad's like, "Oh yeah, I killed your mom. I made that choice. Don't make me choose again." And I like that immediately the show says, "No, he's not bluffing. He immediately does it. He immediately kills his son." But Henry's
drops
like
a shit ton of rocks on him.
But he's like, "Hey, Courtney, like you were right. People are good. Don't let this change that belief." Like, he goes out. He goes out a genuine hero. He has a proper heroic moment.
Does that come before or after as a final apology to Yolanda? I'm not sure which one was the very last words.
Maybe, I don't know, because he has the scene where he tries to apologize earlier on, and then he says just as he's dying here, or right before he dies, he says, "I really am sorry." I don't know if that's before or after what he says to Courtney.
Yeah, I can't remember which way around they are, but I mean, both still very effective.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's effective because obviously that's the personal thing, and then he's like, "No, be a hero, fight back, don't let them win." Like, it's actually a very heroic end for him, and it worked, because the episode just ends like, after the rocks fall down, the camera just pulls back and we go to credits. There's no epilogue to this.
No, nothing. It's nice. I really like how it is rocks they crush him, because the first act where Henry tries to fight back is he throws like a handful of rocks at his dad, and I'm talking about like small rocks.
Yeah, it would totally kill, but
stones.
Yeah.
And and Brainwave Senior just is like, really, is that it? And they do nothing. Obviously, they just stop. So then to kind of, but almost like, here, I'll show you what you can really do, and then use these boulders essentially. It's much more effective.
Also, it does the thing where, or what it achieves two things. It solves the problem of Henry being too powerful, because this is him just starting out, and if he was able to develop these powers, like him being telepathic and telekinetic to this extent, he would be so overpowered on the team. That would be an issue going forward. So this solves that by him not being around anymore. But it also shows you how dangerous Brainwave himself is. It shows you how dangerous he is as a villain, but also how evil he is because he was able to kill his own son. So it achieves multiple things at the same time, and it feels like the big sort of dramatic part of the season, and it feels like almost in a Stranger Things kind of way, like, because Barb's kind of getting in on it with Pat now in terms of like proving what Jordan's up to. They almost feel like they're going to be the Joyce and the Hopper, like figuring things out, and she's not going to want her daughter being involved or doing any fighting, but ultimately is either just going to have to accept that she is, or Courtney's going to do it behind her back and save the day.
Yeah, that's true. It's an interesting comparison, actually.
I think it'll be one for one by any means, but I'm just
but I can see where you're coming from with it.
Yeah, there's a sort of parallel kind of forming. Of course, in Stranger Things, they don't kill off the kids like they do Henry here.
I mean, and that was something I should mention, is that's twice already this season where there has been reasonably shocking deaths with, teenagers that could have been main characters if the plot had called for it.
Yeah, that's one especially. Henry, we were thinking, he's going to end up being on the team, he's going to be a hero, and instead they give him this tragic, heroic death to kind of like basically up the stakes for the last chunk of the season, right? Going out to the last 3 episodes, here's where we've raised the bar to, this is why they should care. And I think, at the end of this episode, I really sat and thought to myself, like, if CW does neuter this, like, I'm going to be upset, because I think that now we're getting into the end game of the season, the strengths of this show are actually really starting to, like, show themselves. Like, now I'm looking at it as like a 10 episode whole so far, not just, how did we feel at the end of episode 4, because this is how strong or not strong episode 4 was. I'm looking at it as a whole, and I'm saying, oh, this is actually a really good season of TV overall. Like, some faults here or there, there's things to nitpick at, and there's things to complain about, but it has this focus, it has this goal, it wants to build this team, it wants to have these stakes. These villains never feel neutered. Everything the villains have been doing, it feels like every time I think they're going to have to neuter a villain to get them out of a predicament, no, they just kill a kid. Like, no, one of them dies, heroically saving the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, it reminded me of a quote from The Thick of It, and they're like, "How are we going to solve this problem?" He goes, "I don't know, kill a kid an hour till it sorts itself out." I'm just like, that should be the answer on one of these shows as the solution.
Go on.
I don't know. I thought that'd be funny.
Do you have another relevant point to make?
Yeah. Okay. 5. You want me to be relevant? Ugh. Sorry. I'm sorry. Just random nonsense isn't enough for you anymore.
It was
spent 5 minutes talking about banana splits, but fine. No, I really like this episode though. There's a lot of things that I think it does really effectively over the course of it. Like, we talk about like Barb, for example, early on, just how funny that scene is as well. Like where,
oh yeah,
like Courtney and Pat are kind of talking over themselves almost.
I
Her
forgot.
being like, "You used to be Stripesy," and she's like, "Oh, he goes by Stripe now," and she's like, "Oh, does he now?"
Well, actually, I even forgot to mention the first funny part is right at the start of the scene where Pat keeps trying to tell the truth and Courtney keeps trying to lie over the top of him, and eventually he's like, "Courtney, I'm telling the truth now." Damn it. Like she keeps talking over me. It's actually a really funny little sequence of dialogue.
Yeah, and it happens again with her telling like too much truth almost after that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, "Just let me do the explaining."
Yeah. And I love the moment because I said that I loved that she kicks him out. It felt like a natural response. It feels so natural because the question she asked before that choice is made is, when my daughter went into the hospital, was it really because of a car accident? And Pat again very maturely says, no, it wasn't. And that's it. That's that. It doesn't matter what anything else he says right now. Like, he has to leave. He has to get out because he's endangered Courtney, even though, as we know, Courtney was going to do a lot of that shit anyway. She'd probably be in more trouble if Pat wasn't there to try and guide her a little bit.
And that's what the endgame solution that Barb's eventually going to realize.
Yeah, is that Courtney's not going to be stopped. So that stuff's really. And I think the big impressive thing with Barb is that there's so many shows in which Barb would be an annoying character. There's so many shows I can imagine where she is frustrating and is just in the way of the plot. And instead, in this, I'm saying no. She's making decisions that feel natural for a character that I don't blame her for. I'm enjoying the way it's kind of playing off of her, and I don't know, like there's so many like examples of this that could be so just tedious getting through.
I don't want to say this one's tedious, but I think a notable example for a lot of people would be Breaking Bad. Right?
Oh yeah, they're all wrong, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, they are all wrong, but I get the core complaint with her in that is that she is getting in the way of our main character doing their thing, right? Even though she's completely justified and right in everything that she does. It's frustrating when they're in the way of your character. And I think that's what could easily happen here, where it just feels like she's getting in the way of the heroics.
And before someone says, well, actually, in the comments, yes, Skylar does eventually make some questionable choices fairly late on in the show when she's indoctrinated into everything. But yes, for the first several seasons, she is completely in the right in almost everything she questions from Mueller, right? Just
Yeah. I'm not saying 100%. Yeah, broad strokes here, and I think it's a really easy feeling to fall into with a situation like this here. And it would be really awkward to make us root for Pat over Barb, right? In a lot of these scenarios, given that she's just being, a normal mother.
Just imagine this on any of the other CW shows, right? Like how long they would drag out, like Barb almost like hearing things or like all these close calls. This show had like 2, which is just enough because the third one was a catch. The third one was the being caught in the act.
How many times in this episode do we have Barb sat there to a montage with a sad song, thinking about what's she ever gonna do next? And of course, all the stuff with Pat and the Norwegians, that doesn't happen for at least another episode.
Yes, and there's a lot of scenes of Pat and her in a hallway talking.
Yeah, actually, on stuff between them that I liked, even though they're not, she's not directly involved. It's actually when Courtney goes to see Pat and tells him what's going on in the morning.
The mic scene you're talking about here, yeah.
I'll get to the mic part after, but just the Pat specifically bit, where when he's going off, she's like, no, you go home and pack. You're leaving. You're both leaving. It's like, I can live, having, ruined, broken her heart, but at least she'll be alive. So, go on, get going.
Yeah. And Mike sort of breaks Courtney's heart a little bit by saying, "You never wanted me to be your brother." Because I actually thought this scene, for a split second, I thought maybe she's going to tell him everything. Maybe she's going to include him and say, "No, this is what I've been doing, Mike. Come on, you're my brother. I'm going to tell you this."
The line where he's like, "Siblings tell each other everything," don't they? That is written by someone who is a single child. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I'm an only child, and even that felt like bullshit to me.
I mean, I have 2 brothers. And no, No.
Okay, do you know what I think it is? I'm going to try and justify it here. I think coming out of the mouth of someone who was an only child and has been sort of thrust into a sibling thing where he wants to have the upper hand so that he has the moral high ground, I think it works.
Yeah, I kind of let it slide. Like, I know I'm nitpicking it. I kind of let it slide this one, and it comes off in a similar vein to the one a couple episodes ago where he had the heart to heart with her after the accident. Was that just last episode? I don't know. But either way, that moment, it kind of like it's bordering on overly cheesy and unrealistic, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah. So. No, I think Mike is going to get in things at some point. He's grabbing that pen. I don't know when it's happening, but he's grabbing that goddamn genie pen.
I appreciate how long that pen's just been forgotten about for at this point, because it makes it feel really.
Oh, that's good.
Obviously, she just put a pen in the thing, and I think it was last episode it mentioned how long time had passed, and it was like a good couple of months since the start of the show, which actually caught me off guard because it feels I didn't realize that the passage of time in the show had been that intense.
Yeah. It's very reminiscent of a floppy disk in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Completely unnecessary. You take that back.
For those of you who are too young to know what a floppy disk is, it was something that used to go into a computer.
These days you can barely put a CD in a computer.
Yes. Although it's worth mentioning that I am of an age where my first two computers probably had floppy drives. I never actually used them ever once.
Really?
Yeah. I was past the floppy disk era. It was kind of like they were there for people who had old floppy disks and they still needed to put them in things. But
I grew up with someone in the house who worked with computers. You know, they were like IT technician, but back in the days where being an IT technician at a company meant you had to actually know shit about computers and not just basic troubleshooting.
Yeah. I was already on the DVD rewritables when I started having to
get you
do media transferring and whatnot. And that was that was all through high school, pretty much. Although by the time I was in uni and college and whatever, it was the switch to USB sticks had kind of taken over.
More civilized time.
Yeah.
I still had to submit a lot of my university stuff for my music degree on burnt CDs.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Because obviously we'd have like a written component and then a physical burnt CD of the music for them to listen to. It had to be, you burn it in this format. It's got to play on these machines.
Do you know? Actually, I say that, but at the end of uni, I wasn't even using any USB sticks. I was just emailing stuff to myself or putting it on Google Drive and then printing it off in the library in the uni, and that was it. I didn't need to do anything else.
I mean, my uni gave us all just at the start of the year, they give us all 8 gig USB drives.
Yeah, we did that too, yeah.
But we use a lot of project files that end up being like 4 or 5 gig that you're just like, you don't want to upload and download that into the cloud constantly.
Yeah. Hey, though, there's your tangent about data transferring and technology over the last 20 years. But yeah, so... No, episode 10, Brainwave Jr. is very, very good. And it actually, if anything, I actually think Brainwave and Brainwave Jr. felt more like a two-parter than Shiv Part 1 and 2 did. Just in the sense that this really felt like a climactic moment where the first episode definitely more like a setup, and then this was all the payoff. This really felt like it was a two-parter as opposed to the Shiv one.
The Shiv one was structurally very different because you had the big massive fight in the at the end of the first episode. Yeah,
and the second episode, Courtney was in a bed for most of the episode, so there were two very standalone feeling episodes. Yeah. Even though there's a thematic link, because Cindy was still a factor in the second one, but it was very separate in terms of how it was functioning. Whereas here it definitely felt like a two-parter. So there you go, that is Brainwave Jr. So we'll be back with episode 11 next time. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and everything we do here, you can go over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. And you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month. Get some bonuses for your trouble. Help keep all the content coming. But go and have a look and see if you're interested. But otherwise, that is us. And I don't do this enough at the end of this, but just I'll mention briefly that we have a DC Comics podcast. So if you actually like the comic books, where some of these shows come from, we talk about that every week. And Comics from the Multiverse, that's both of us plus Matt reviewing all the new DC Comics. So go and have a look-see.
Including Strange Adventures.
Including Strange Adventures, which is an Adam Strange comic. In case you were curious, not Doctor Strange, as I sometimes have a brain fart and say instead. Even though I don't like Doctor Strange at all. I have no interest in Doctor Strange, but for some reason I still accidentally say Doctor Strange all the time. Anyway, that is us. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?